Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself, James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself, James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today I want to talk about a very important topic and news story, and the deeper issue of narcissistic abuse. And in this I want to address a comment left. And I'm not addressing the comment left to prove a point, because I think that is pointless, but to share with those that want to listen and hear, so they might be able to think more deeply about such a subject and possibly a change in the world can happen. At least with some people. Now if the person that made the comment truly gets what we are saying here today, awesome. Awesome. But if they don't, all that matters is other people get it. That other people get the message and understand it. Because you can't please everyone. And you shouldn't have to walk on eggshells. Because if you address a real problem and they don't like it, then oh no. You have to stop talking about it, right? Wrong. Wrong. Because that's how narcissistic abuse and other abuses go on and on and on. Because if you talk about your parents growing up, you're just an ungrateful child. Don't you know? But if you say something against your mother, your father too, but more so your mother, society. It's not me just saying this. This is a fact that most people here know to be true. If you say your dad was a deadbeat, and never around, and a no good father, no matter if this were true or not many people would bat an eye. And most people would say, wow, that's too bad, and try to show you some sympathy, and possibly empathy. But if you speak about your mother in that way, you would be hit with, it doesn't matter what your mother did. Don't ever talk about your mother like that again. There is a song that Tupac had called Dear Mama, where he still loved his mother, though she had a lot of life problems that didn't really allow her to properly be a mother in many important instances. But in the song, Tupac talked about how his father wasn't around and is now dead, and how he basically seen him as a stranger and how he could feel nothing for him. The words were, no love for my daddy, 'cause the coward wasn't there. He passed away and I didn't cry, 'cause my anger wouldn't let me feel for a stranger. The truth was Tupac's father was living then, and is still living now. And from what it appears, he was looking for Tupac even before he got famous. Because back then it was a lot more difficult to find your child and mother if they just got up and left. Yes. Tons of bad fathers out there that really did get up and leave. But from what it appears, Tupac's father quite possibly wasn't one of them. But yet, though these words could be put to such a beautiful song, and it is a beautiful song, and no one sees the problem where Tupac's mother is praised, and by the other things she did in her life they were great, but her problems were real problems. But in that song she is praised, and the father is demonized, and no one has a problem with it. No one. And the sad truth is that a great many children from all backgrounds that grew up like Tupac were able to reconnect with their fathers if their father were still living, and they got a completely different story. A story of the family court draining them of all of their money so they couldn't fight anymore. Now were some of these fathers really deadbeats when they met them? Yes. I know a woman that finally met her father, and he said a bunch of hurtful things to her, saying her and her brother were disappointments from the day they were born. But this is something that society expects. And when it's written into the laws, it's easy for so-called mothers like this to get a pass in society. and can put their child through years of hell simply because she's the mother and can do no wrong. And sadly, when horrible mothers hear the song Dear Mama, they use such songs against their children to guilt them into putting up with the evil abuse. Abuse. Like the horrible abuse this woman put her young son through. Until it was captured on video in the apartment hallway she lived at. You want to know why all of this horrible mess went down and this so-called mother got so angry she beat and kicked her own son as he lay on the ground. You want to know why she did all of this? Because he wanted to go to the park down the street and play. You just can't make this stuff up. You can't. Now, is me reporting on this talking negatively about women, or is this talking about the facts of narcissistic abuse in how it relates to this case? And why it goes on and on? Well, there was a comment on the last video I talked about this case on, where they say, when you blame just women you start sounding like that toxic red pill BS. And as I responded, where did I ever blame women? Where? Look. I've been doing these videos for about 14 years now. And some videos are more center-focused and general information about narcissism. And at times I come across stories of men. Yes, men doing horrible things to their families. And I do talk about them. And I talk about men and women that team up, and when they do horrible things to their children. But in this dynamic, I also talk about facts like this case behind me. And to ignore that narcissist mothers get more understanding and more cover to do their abuse is insane. But as I've stated a million times before, I still know and get and understand that narcissist men and women are both dangerous and destructive and equally doing their evil to their victims. But in the words of many, and I do mean many female narcissistic abuse content creators, when they speak about the differences between the female narcissist and the male narcissist, and you can search and find these videos really easily, they almost always say, what makes the female narcissists so darn dangerous is that society treats them as by default that they are the victim. The courts will do it. The family and friends will do it. And nearly everyone in society will do it. And the narcissist women hide behind this fact. Do you really think that narcissists play by fair rules? As I've mentioned before, there are parts of the world right now where this dynamic is reversed, where the man's word is believed first and the woman's is not. And what do you think happens there? That's right, the narcissist males will use this fact to continue to abuse their families while hiding behind their societal norms. Well, in the West, narcissist women. Did you hear me? Narcissist women. Not all women. But narcissist and borderline and psychopathic and sociopathic women hide behind the societal norms set up for them. And what has to happen for anyone to believe it is for it to be on camera. Because if this situation wasn't caught on camera, this little boy would have lived through hell on earth with this so-called mother. And when he would become an adult and repeat what was done to him as a child to someone else, no one would care what his excuse was or is. They would throw the book at him. But for her, she was stressed out. That was her problem. She said she had. She was stressed out. And had a one-time only lapse in emotional judgment. All over the fact her son wanted to go to the park, likely down the street, and play. And if I were to guess, her son was likely getting in her way of hanging out with a high-value man. Hey. I've talked about these guys too. All of the time. And how most of them are narcissists. That how other men that are having no hope in finding a woman to date and marry are sadly finding these guys and taking their advice on how to have a relationship with a woman. But why are these guys so much in a bad way where they gravitate to some of these bad examples of men? The reason is because they turn this into the new example of what a woman should be. And that men are told if they don't make $1 million they are a loser. And I will say to the numbers are bearing that out. Where most men couldn't get a date even if they tried. I'm talking about the decent ones. Well-groomed, polite, kind, and looking for a woman they can spend their lives with. Why can't they find a woman? Because women like this and the Kim K's before her became the norm. And if you can't take a woman to a 5-star place to eat on the first date, you're a loser. Not me saying it. Tons of women online. Tons. And the numbers are bearing it out. That most men have no chance with women because the bar is too high for them to compete. So these dating gurus are now filling that void, to take advantage of such men's pain and loneliness. They are basically now taking advice from narcissists. And that's why I even said on the other video on this topic, men think twice about trying to go with these gurus' advice. Because trying to be that narcissist jerk could backfire in your face and you could end up creating a family with a woman like this. Now what's sad is, and I want to backtrack a moment, is in this comment about saying I said or implied things I never said or implied. Never spoke about the boy that was being abused in this story. The focus wasn't on the child that was put in harm's way by this evil so-called mother, but how a little cartoon man said something they didn't like. And that's why things never get solved. Because we can never address the issues. It's almost going after things that really don't make sense. Especially if they were never said or implied. The truth is, one thing that was mentioned is both men and women can cause great damage. And that is correct. However, the female narcissists are just better, at least in the West, at hiding it and getting away with it. And if we had more women standing up against evil mothers getting their way in family court and divorce court, you would start to see the good guys start to come forward, because they have been shouted down so bad they just see it as a lost cause. Oh, and by the way, they let her out. Yes. Yulia is walking the streets, yet ordered to stay away from her son. I just hope this child is protected in this case. And this woman can't just cry her way to a second chance to do it all over again. But what do I know? I'm just a cartoon. Oh, it appears the first news report might have it incorrect on where she was from. It looks like she might be from Ukraine. And if this is correct, that would mean her husband or boyfriend or the father of the child is likely fighting for his life, while she is in Miami, Florida, dressing like a model and beating her son senseless on camera. Weren't we just talking about fair? And in Ukraine the men are seen in a different way. Meaning there are traditional roles there. But likely the father had to stay like it or not and fight. And she got to leave to a better life of fancy clothes and beating her son on camera. And possibly looking for one of those so-called high-value men. Now I'm not saying the father sight unseen is a great man. He might be just as evil as this woman is. Who knows? But if he's not, how would you feel knowing your life was in danger every second because you're in a war zone? Knowing your son is left with a lunatic mother like this. And if she's doing this, I don't think any of us would be shocked if she's cheating on the father too. Because most narcissists cheat. Both male and female. Even if they look like they aren't capable. But at the end of the day, what matters is the safety of this child and that he grows up to break the cycle of this horrible abuse. Not on how a little cartoon man said something. I appreciate you all. Even you that left such a comment. I thank you all for your support, and if you would like to support further, there is a link in the box below. And if you can't support, I understand completely. You just being here is good enough. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.